It's the old Doctor Who show, episode number 76, Survival.
Go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
You couldn't control my mind before, and you certainly can't control it now.
Would you like a jelly, baby?
The TARDIS, when working properly, is capable of many amazing things.
Reverse the polarity of the neutron flows, and the TARDIS will be free of the force field now.
Well, the TARDIS is more than a machine, Stephen. It's like a person, you see.
Resulting reaction is Are you ready?
Hey all, welcome to the hee-haw, yeehaw. Hey cowboys and cowgirls. Welcome to the old Doctor Who show, your classic tri-weekly Doctor Who review podcast. You're not going to throw me off by saying online. I'm over that. This is the last episode of the old Doctor Who show forever.
You're a pro now. No,
not forever, but it is the end of the first run. We went through 76 hours of us talking about Doctor Who, which seems a little excessive.
Yeah, I don't.
You know?
I kind of apologize in retrospect, folks. We didn't realize how long this was going to go.
Yeah, we hit the end of our run. So this is the last Sylvester McCoy story.
Yeah.
As well as the last of our round one. And then we're going to do the movie next. R.I.P. to our future double suicide, which I like the fact that we always talk about the double suicide on air, double suicide trademark. And then once in a while, people, listeners will mention that or reference that in the thing. And now we kind of have to do it.
Now we're gonna have to. We have to give you what you want.
Yeah.
So
Now that would be the last episode.
That probably. I'm not gonna rule anything out. Is this is the last Sylvester McCoy story we'll do?
We'll ever do.
Didn't we do all of his stories?
We did every Sylvester McCoy story, right? Did we do a Dalek story with him?
No.
Can't remember. I mean,
I don't think so.
That's the only one.
I mean, of everything that's available, that we nailed them all. So this might be the last one.
Right. What I was going to say is we did everything on BritBox, but sometimes there's Dalek stories not on BritBox. That's the only thing that I can think of that maybe we're missing a McCoy story.
Nuts.
But I don't even know.
We did it.
I don't know,
man. We did all of Colin Baker too, didn't we?
We did pretty much once we got to Colin Baker. We did everything you could do that was on BritBox, which is most things.
Yeah.
It's most things.
So when we go back through again, we're going to be just doing all the real classics.
Real classic.
Not this brand new classic.
Classic.
It's hard to call the 80s something classic.
Yeah. And by the way, Dan, we did do a Dalek story called Remembrance of the Daleks. You don't remember it.
It was called Don't Remember the Daleks.
All right, let's get into this because I don't think we have anything to review or talk about, right?
But the only thing we're going to say is you and I need to get our act together, and we'll let all you folks know what we're going to do for the movie. Maybe we'll do something special. Maybe we'll just do a regular episode where we're reviewing the movie. But since it'll be the last of the actual original 8 Doctors, that would be pretty cool. So we'll figure that out and let you know on Twitter or on the show page, etc.
Yeah, and I guess we should point out, too, by next show, which is the movie, we have to absolutely have our final list of what round 2 is by then. And thank you to many of you have been posting in the comments. Like we just have a lot to go through.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that have recommended anything from the Mutants. I know Planet of Spiders, that's come up a bunch, so we'll figure it out.
Indeed.
Yep.
But until then, let's talk about Survival.
Okay. All right. Why don't you hit the button? Let's do that.
Oh, sure. Okay. Is that what
There are worlds out there where the sky is burning, where the seas asleep and the rivers dream. People made of smoke and cities made of song. Somewhere there's danger, somewhere there's injustice, and somewhere else the tea's getting cold. Come on, Ace. We've got work to do.
This is Survival. This is the final story of the 26th season. It takes place in 1980. It doesn't. It also takes. They're both. It's all in 1989. Both taking place and when it was filmed. The Doctor takes Ace to Perryvale in 1989 so she can catch up with some of her friends, only to find they've stumbled onto the set of a prequel to Sleepwalkers by Stephen King. After trying in vain to find most of her friends, she discovers that many have gone missing, much like she did. The doctor puts the clues together and somehow realizes that the feral cats must have something to do with it. So after getting snatched up by a cheetah on horseback and transported to a dying planet, Ace gets to meet the Doctor's BFF, the Master, along with a bunch of the surviving missing teens. Everyone gets the feline virus, gets all animal-like, and it all works out in the end. This one was written by Rona Munro, who wrote this, and then a new Who, Light Eaters, which is a Capaldi Doctor Who. Is also co-written by Andrew Cartmel, who's the script editor, directed by Alan Waring, who did Greatest Show in the Galaxy and Ghostlight, and produced by JNT. Eric.
Question. So you said Light Eaters? I don't remember that story.
It is one with Capaldi and Bill, and it's the one where he's playing a guitar.
Well, that could be... That was that was the very last season then, right?
No, because the last season was...
How long was Bill on it? I don't remember.
For
two seasons?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway.
It doesn't matter.
It's fine. Which is kind of cool, because then we have one from Old Who and New Who from the same writer. So, Eric, forget all that stuff. What do you think about Survival?
Survival! What did I think?
More importantly, what am I?
I think I liked Survival. I think I rather enjoyed Survival. It's a simple story, sort of. I mean, there's nothing too complex about it, and I feel like that's one of its strengths. It's it's simple in quotes, but I mean, you have these sort of cat people, which immediately made me think of the film Cat People. Have we talked about the film Cat People? I saw the film Cat People. With my father and his girlfriend at a very young age, and it was totally inappropriate. And if you know anything about the film Cat People, from what I remember, is people have sex with each other and then they turn into cats, and some guy is so into the woman and he knows that she's going to become a panther, but he has to have her, and he ties her up with ropes and something, and it's I was too young to be watching it with my dad and his girlfriend, but I think it went on to inform exactly who I am. So in my head, I was just thinking, oh, this is cat people, and I started to have, sweating from my forehead and having bad dreams. But yeah, speaking of which, Cat People, the movie, also features a song by David Bowie, and we get a David Bowie t-shirt in this. So that was a nice little connection. One of the kids in the Perryvale gang is wearing a David Bowie shirt. I don't know if you picked up on that.
You're really diving into the details.
Yep, but I feel like that was a direct thing. Paul Schrader also did, he wrote Taxi Driver, and then he directed that movie, The Canyons, with, what's her face? The woman that's ruined her face.
What happened?
I don't know. It says we're just going to go all over the place, Dan. I thought it was a fine story. I thought it was a fine story. I liked the cat makeup.
Okay.
I thought the Doctor by part 3 was a little odd. And I don't know if that was because in the world of the story, the planet sort of makes you into a cat. You sort of become taken over by the power of the planet or whatever. And there's like a scene later, part 3, we're jumping all the way to the end, but Ace is already starting to exhibit her own feline, eyes, and she's got the Michael Jackson. They must have had a sale on the Michael Jackson contact lenses, which now you could probably get for a steal. So she's like sort of cat-like, and she's at the water, and the Doctor's like pacing around, and he was acting kind of creepy and weird. Do you remember that part? He seems kind of dark.
Generally, what you're talking about, that he felt a little off towards the end, but okay.
Yeah, like his character, it was like, I don't know if it was menacing is the wrong word, but it was hard to figure out like what his angle was, the Doctor's angle was.
To me, I just thought it was that he knew what was happening to them, and that the longer they stay there, the more danger they were going to be in.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, the Doctor spends... This was... While I like this story, this is not my favorite Sylvester McCoy Ace story. And the reason was I felt like a lot of this... I feel like episode 2, there was so much chasing of the cat people and the teenagers Like it just goes on for a long, long time, and was almost like too long. And then there's the scene where the doctor's like, "Stop moving."
Yeah,
that goes on for a long time.
And that was the scene that bothered me the most about him at that point. Everyone else at that has decided they've had enough, and whether it's the wrong thing to do or not, they all decide to start fighting back, and they pick up rocks and they start throwing them, and Ace goes and tackles someone.
And I thought she was going to steal the horse, but she didn't.
Yeah, well, but they're all in action and trying to change the situation, and the doctor maybe rightly says, stand still. First of all, I thought it was because they kept saying that if you run, they're going to chase you and play with their food and get you. But if you stand still, maybe they'll leave you alone. But I think it was also that if you start actually fighting back and giving in to that instinct, then you're actually going to turn into the cheetah eyes, old Cheeto face.
Well, I
don't know what he was doing there, but it just felt so out of place. And like you said, it went on forever, where he's just like kind of waving his arms and just like, everyone stand still, and just not being very authoritative or doctor-like.
Yeah, this is probably me reading too much into it, but
go for it.
It felt like he was bored. As an actor, a little.
Oh, okay.
Like, it seems like there's a couple times he felt like he was sort of phoning it in,
There's not a whole lot going on in this story, to be honest. So, especially after some of the other ones where we've had to try to go back and explain the plot to each other because it didn't make sense on a first pass. This one was just really straightforward. There wasn't a whole lot of anything going on under the surface here. It just was kind of... the story is what the story is. Right.
Yeah, and I was trying to get at that point. It's very sort of simple in its as far as the level. It's not convoluted. It's like, they get stuck. There's a planet of cats. For some reason, they could leave the planet and bring their prey home the way a cat would bring back a canary or whatever. And the master gets stuck there, and so he wants to get out, and he knows the doctor will figure it out. Right? Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah. I mean,
but what did you think?
Was it the master's plan to get the doctor? I don't think.
Well, I think that the master gets stuck on the planet, right? Yeah. He can't get out. But when he's able to sort of mind link with these creatures and
the kitlings,
the kitlings, like they're almost like vultures or whatever, and they can go to other worlds, and he's able to see through their eyes, and then once he gets I took it as him sort of not necessarily luring the doctor there, but he's trying to bring the doctor there because his plan is the doctor's going to figure it out, which he does, and then the master takes that information and uses it to escape the planet.
See, that makes sense. Once the doctor is there, the master's going to try to use him to figure out how to get off the planet, but I don't see how it's possible he could have counted on the doctor showing up at any point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he is seeing through the cat's eyes, seeing the cat eat humans on Earth, which is known to be the doctor's hangout.
Yeah, but the doctor just would... Yeah, okay. But the fact that the doctor would show up in Perryvale at that time because Ace wanted to go there, I don't really see how the master's plan could possibly have worked. Like, what was his plan? Just to wait on this planet that's dying. It's starting to blow up because everyone's fighting.
Right. Well, he's got no choice.
So he's just going to wait there until the planet blows up, or until the doctor happens to wander across Perryvale in 1989.
Yes. I think he's stuck on the planet. He's going to die no matter what. So whatever he can use, he's going to use, and he happens to see the doctor. Because I think the cat, the doctor go back and forth. So
no, I get that, but he just happens to see the doctor. If the doctor hadn't gone to Perryvale at that time, the master was going to just die.
Or find someone else that he could exploit.
Yeah.
But he's seeing through these cat eyes, and then when he sees the doctor, he's like, I got to get the doctor here.
Sure. I get that.
Right.
Once the doctor comes into the story, I see what the master's doing. What I'm questioning is, what was the master's plan had the doctor not shown up at the exact right time in this very Deus Ex Machina sort of way?
Yeah, I think he was just stuck. He was just stuck on the planet and needed to find something.
Some of these times, like, there's a distress call, and of course the doctor's going to come, blah, 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 but that wasn't this.
Yeah.
It was just that Ace wanted to go check on her friends. She didn't necessarily even want to go to the planet. The doctor said, okay, let's just go to Earth. I don't know. That's the only part of it that didn't really have any logic to it.
Well, you
It was
didn't
just
need to have the
coincidence,
master in this story at all.
No, you really didn't.
Really.
Yeah.
But what did you think? We haven't gotten your opinion yet.
Overall, I like the story. I think the first two parts were probably better than the way that it kind of ended up. But I like seeing the continuation of this relationship between Ace and the Doctor is fantastic. I thought the opening was really creepy, that we have the unseen, you see that...
Well, the guy with the stonewashed jeans guy.
Where you see the guy washing his car with the stonewashed jeans, and you see the animatronic cat on the wall, which looked horrible, but still set the tone really well.
Yeah, that was
that
pretty
point
funny.
Of view shot that's kind of, I guess, maybe a crane shot coming up above the street level. So you have no idea what's happening. Like, did that cat turn into a giant werecat? Or you have no real concept, except this guy's freaked out and scared. I do like that twice these young guys are getting chased by what we find out to be cheetahs on horseback. And they're the ones that run away and twist their ankles and fall and get snatched up, as opposed to women. It was a nice kind of role reversal.
Yeah, there was a lot of cool things like that as far as reversals. Like you saw... Midge?
Yeah.
That guy sucks. So you get Midge. It just has a guy. He sucks, the character.
Yes.
The actor did a good job playing a sucky dude. But I liked you see his reaction to finding a wounded cat, and he kills him. And then you get, immediately, you go back and forth with Ace's reaction to seeing, a wounded animal, and she gives it water and tries to take care of it. And it's like the juxtaposition, but the two things. But also, to your point, with the women, sort of, it's I can't remember the character's name. It's Ace and her friend, the long-haired woman,
Shrila.
They sort of take over leadership of their little band of lunatics and teenagers in the woods, whereas the Midge is very defeatist and like just kind of a jerk, and the other guy has two lines. The David Bowie wearing t-shirt guy, he's really just there. Just
there to get killed.
Hanging. What's his name? Do you remember his name?
I think that one's. Oh, it's either Derek or Stuart.
Right.
I don't know.
He's like, it's
literally
definitely
doesn't matter.
Yeah, the women in this are much stronger character-wise than any of the male characters.
But so I mean, just the entire opening I thought was pretty good. There was the moment of the doctor buying cat food in the little store.
Yeah, where they're going over all the marketing slogans and stuff.
Right. Now, apparently, people who watched this at the time would recognize them, but the two shopkeepers were a comedy duo making a guest appearance on the show. So that's why I thought that their back and forth banter was really good, and that explains it. So this is apparently Hale and Pace, or Pace and Hale, but that's the comedy team.
Sure.
So that was kind of cool. Overall, the tone was great. I didn't really see it coming that they'd be teleported to another planet, but I liked that, and that the planet was so intrinsic. They were all intrinsically part of the planet. The beings that lived there, and the planet kind of responded to them. So if they're fighting, the whole planet's kind of dying and falling apart. And after ages of warring, it's frayed at the edges and about to explode. That was kind of cool. And that the people that were there that's how they kind of transformed into these cheetah people, because the doctor mentions he's heard of them before, doesn't know anything about them, and it's because they're not necessarily their own race. They're a race that kind of evolves after being in contact with the planet. So I thought
I didn't understand that part too much. The doctor doesn't know a lot about him, but he does know a lot about him too, right? Because he
figures it out once he's there.
Well, but he's like, these are vulture like he knows sort of the whole hierarchy is for the little cats and whatever. So I was like, well, maybe you know a little bit more about these than you're letting on, Doctor. Well,
that's his MO most of the time anyway.
Right.
I mean, the fact that Ace even called him out in the previous story was kind of good. But like you said, the main part I had a problem with, besides obviously the Master's plan not really making much sense until it did, but that the chasing back and forth was just so much. These menacing cheetah. And I guess they just kept explaining it with like their cats and they're playing with their food, but like everyone should have just died.
The doctor even throws like catnip at one point to the.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
It does some juggling, some light juggling.
I think it's part of he was juggling. It's part of the direction maybe, but just these cats kind of like circling everyone and making like pawing motions at the air 3 feet away from the people, and it's not menacing at all.
Right, and they
it doesn't
should have
look
been
like
on
anyone's
roller
in danger.
They
What?
should have been on roller skates.
Absolutely.
Like if you just reshot this whole episode, but all of the cats were on roller skates, I think
So-
then you'd have something.
Yes, a combination of Andrew Lloyd Webber's two greatest musicals, Cats and Starlight Express, and that
Exactly.
would have been kind of the perfect.
And they did. Speaking of that, there was that Cats
yeah, there was
poster,
the Cats poster
like
in the
it was
background.
like
Yeah,
yeah.
a little on the nose. But yeah, overall, it was a fine story. It's kind of to me like a disappointing way to end.
Yeah, this is not a good final Doctor story for Sylvester McCoy, although it was, I don't know if they knew it was over when they did the ADR audio tag at the very end, or if that was just they had that little bit, like, so the Doctor and Ace is like, let's go back home to the TARDIS, and they both look at the camera, and then you hear
They
like
wink.
the Doctor going, oh, we're gonna see this and this and this, and then that sort of at least allows it to be the final. It's not good, but at least they have that little thing to say, oh, there's all these adventures, even though you're not gonna see us anymore.
That's right.
You know?
They didn't actually know that the show was over at the time they were making this, but they strongly had a sense.
Right, and plus, if this is the last show of the season, they know that, they may not get picked up, so they have to sort of cover it a little bit.
Yeah. I kind of like that little monologue at the end. Was kind of nice. I'm glad that they added that as opposed to just being like, "Off, okay, where are we gonna go next, Doc?" Like, there's something more to it than that.
Cat
what else is
people.
So the other thing that was kind of crazy, just bonkers in this story.
The skin eating, all of the bones being picked and the skin peeling away from the bones.
That's totally fine.
that's fine.
Not typical Tuesday.
All right.
The jousting on motorcycles.
Yeah, into
very
explosion.
strange thing.
And then it just explodes, and then the guy's human. Right? He blew out the animal nature of him.
I guess, and then he just was told to die, so he did. But the Doctor ends up on a discarded sofa and
It didn't. Yeah,
pile of
that
garbage.
I did sort of introduce this by saying how it totally makes sense, but there are things that are like, what? And like Ace is almost becoming, cat lady, and then he's like, well, if we go through this portal that you can open, you may be stuck as a cat forever, and then she isn't, and it's like, okay.
Well, right.
Right? And
I
then
thought there was
also
going to be
she's
much
fine.
more, a bigger consequence to it than that. But
Nope.
she does say at the end that the planet, or he says it, one of them says, the planet is still with her. Like, it's still inside of her and part of her, and she liked that. So I think that's kind of interesting that she has
Cat powers.
found more. She's got cat powers now.
And how did that, speaking of the end, so the Doctor and the Master are fighting, right? And it switches, they go jump from Earth back to Planet of the Cats.
Catsylvania.
Right?
Yep.
And then the Doctor is insisting that he can't fight because if we fight like animals, we are animals or something.
Right.
I don't remember. And then he's back on Earth.
Yep.
So what was going on with that? And how did that trigger that he goes back to Earth? How did it even get triggered to go back to the planet? Because neither of them, that's their home planet. Like, it was kind of like, okay, well, you can leave the planet if you have the power of the cats, but you're from another planet because the cats can leave
To go
the
home.
planet to go home. That's how they're able to get back, or leave or get back. But the Master can't leave because he's not a cat person. But then
But he has the cat
becomes a
powers.
He's well more advanced than Ace ever was.
For sure, yeah.
You know,
he had
'cause
the
he's got-
teeth and
yeah,
the
he's got
eyes,
cat
and he's
eyes
been there for a
early.
while. And he didn't. Right, so he didn't realize that that's how the cats that was what the cats were.
Yeah. Yet he
doing, I
still
guess?
needs to capture Midge.
He lassoed a cat.
He lassos
Yes.
Midge, which was fun. I like that he
Sure, why not?
He like got him on the old rope around your foot gag, and then he, they have their S&M thing where he puts him on a leash, right? And they're gonna go party, and he really didn't need him, right? I mean, I guess he could have
Apparently, he wouldn't have. I mean,
Well, I guess his brain is so complex. He was only 10% cat, whereas the other guy was stupid. And he was 80% cat.
yeah, but
because he's like
but
he's
Ace. The whole thing with Ace is
Yeah,
that she
Ace-
was able to withstand it as well because
Doesn't
she had a
make any
strong
sense.
mind was the implication, but she was able to do that
Right,
crossing
and then
over.
but to go jump back to it, so later on, the Doctor is on Earth with the Master, and then they go back to the Planet of the Cats. How did that happen? Because I guess the Master triggered it, and then the Doctor's able to get away, and then the Master's still on the Planet of the Cats at the end of this.
Yeah, sure.
I don't remember.
I don't know. I only watched the first episode, so.
Do you remember the last time I remember? I'm saying I don't remember, and then I'm saying the last time I remember. But wasn't the Master on a spaceship with like the Ronnie or something, and there was like eggs hatching with Tyrannosauruses in them?
Oh yes, right.
Is that the
right.
last time we saw the Master?
I was trying to remember the last time I saw. I think that's right. They go spinning off into space, and the dinosaur eggs start hatching and move faster and faster, and they're evolving and growing, and presumably they're going to get eaten by a T-Rex.
So sometime between then and this story, he ends up on this cat planet.
Yep.
And now he's still on the cat planet.
I think he's still on the cat planet. Yep.
It's all fine. Everything's fine. I did like the tripwire scene. So they have like a little moment where Ace and her friend put like a stupid line between two, and there's like the cat on the horseback, like do, and then he just stops, and they have this shot that takes longer than you think of the nails coming out, and then king, it just cuts the thing and just keeps walking forward, and you're like, all right, okay, sure.
I mean, I liked that because it shows that the cats weren't just cuddly, like they actually had the teeth and the claws and everything, but it just makes the fact that no one really gets hurt seems so ridiculous. The times they're just playing with their food, fine, but they're still going to be using their claws and sweat. I don't know. It just seems so silly that no one got hurt. You know who we haven't talked about at all yet?
The Sarge?
The Sarge.
I was hoping that he wasn't actually in the military.
Yeah.
That he was all pretend. Like
I think he was all pretend.
Well, wasn't he an actual Sarge?
Well, no. I
know he's in all this neighborhood watch stuff, but...
And I think that he went just to do some weekend training or something. He went to a survivalist class. Like,
okay, good.
I think that's the implication.
I was hoping that's where it was going to end up, and I was, like I couldn't get into the real army or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I took from it.
He was he had the chevrons or whatever on the side, so I was like, well, did they get there? I don't know.
Army surplus.
So you're saying what I wanted actually was the case. So
that's the way I read it. That's the way I chose to read it. Yeah. So we had the Sarge, the whole survivalist training thing. It was fine. What'd you think of him as a character? Was he
useful
in the story at all in terms of not maybe necessarily the plot, but in terms of just
I kept picturing him. Yeah, I kept picturing him as Schillinger in the prison drama Oz from HBO, if you're familiar with that. You know what I'm talking about? It's Vernon Schillinger's the character's name, but it's played by J.K. Simmons, who was in Spider-Man and a bunch of...
This would have been better had it been J.K. Simmons.
Yes, so I just kept thinking, who's like this white supremacist evil character? So I was just imagining him also on Doctor Who, so it was weird. No, he was like... He was okay. There wasn't really much to his character at all.
That's right.
I mean, they play up the whole survival of the fittest and how that is not the right mentality because it leads to destruction, and where, that's the way the animal kingdom is. But if you live that way, you become an animal, even though we're actually animals anyway. So what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And kind of like he didn't really feel like his whole thing too, when he goes back to the planet, everyone else sort of is like, thanks, Ace and the Doctor, thanks, Ace and the Doctor. And then they keep cutting to him. And he, like, doesn't accept that any of it happened.
Right.
What was that about?
I mean, I think it was just to draw more about this character being kind of a phony and not really what he says he is. And he can't really doesn't have the mental wherewithal to accept what happened.
Yeah, I just felt like his whole thing
there wasn't a whole lot to
didn't
it.
Really go anywhere. And there was no, he didn't learn from and become a different person. Like, it was just like he had
no arc.
It was stupid.
Yeah. There were a couple of small things in here that I kind of liked. You notice the Doctor had his pocket watch, his fob, and he kind of was using that sort of like we'd use the Sonic now. He was using it to take readings of the planet, different things. He's done that in previous stories as well. So it's just interesting they kind of switched from the Sonic being this thing, like now, especially in the current Who, like it's just a little computer that can do anything you need it to. But it has this little pocket watch that's able to do that. I told you it was a small thing, but it's a little thing. Also, he at one point doesn't the Doctor, is it the Sarge that he taps in the middle of his forehead and makes him like go all spacey for a second?
Yeah, and he says like,
it was like a sound effect,
right? The Sarge says like, you can finger can be used to kill someone or something stupid, and then he says something that same thing about one finger. I was like, what's that power? I guess we have that power.
Yeah, that's fine and all, but it's just like at this point in the stories, maybe
for the last episode to all of a sudden add onto his power set.
Oh, we could also fly.
Yeah,
I mean, just throw something else in there. And then the last thing I had that was just a cool moment is in the third episode of the story, Ace is trying to hold back her feral instincts, and she wants to fight, but she realizes if she does, she's going to give into it more. And at that time, she has the Doctor's umbrella, and she has his hat on. So it's her looking like the Doctor saying, I must not fight, I must not fight. I thought it was a really nice moment for her.
She's becoming the Doctor.
Yeah.
It's all
so that was kind of cool. And then she calls, the TARDIS as her home was a nice moment as well. So overall, I like what the story did. There's just little bits and pieces in there that just like, or what, or didn't really.
I liked when there was cat on cat crime, like when the cats were attacking each other, and then the master is like, they'll turn on each other. That's not something stupid. And there's a lot of stuff that's just super heavy handed and just like the commentary that they're trying to make about humans and animals was a bit much. I felt like in some spots. Yeah, I was like, all right, okay. And then what happened later on? So this is the second chapter, third chapter, I don't remember, or episode. When a new guy pops in. So like this is the scene
it was the
right
milkman.
Before they start throwing the rocks.
Yes.
And he comes running because he's getting chased by cat people on horseback, like Planet of the Apes. And they go right past the Doctor and Ace and the crew, and then he gets mauled. But no one stops. Like, the Doctor isn't like, oh, it's cool, you're okay. You just went through a traumatic, horrible thing where 1 minute you're on Earth and now you're in this cat. You're getting hunted for, for sport. And they just let him go and get mauled.
Yeah.
Nobody even acknowledges him, that he's not like... If you just all of a sudden popped into a cat planet... And I saw a couple of kids. I'm afraid of teenagers normally, but I feel like if all of a sudden now I'm in a cat planet and there's teenagers, I may be like, what is going, like, what is this place? But he doesn't. He just runs and gets mauled.
Runs to his death. Yeah.
I don't know.
It didn't really. Did we really need that to happen? I guess that was the catalyst for them to all start fighting back.
I guess, but you could have had another character do that just to give them lines, or something. Yeah, it was like that was just for nothing, and then it just went into this long scene of them throwing rocks and the Ace taking the cat off the horse and all this stuff to lead up to Ace's befriends that other cat who ends up being a human that had turned into a cat.
Right.
Right. Her name was, I can't remember. What was her name? Throw it at me.
Actually. Oh no.
Yeah, she has a name. It's like Kara or something. Kara. Yeah.
Kara.
Which she may have been. Was she one of the missing people on the poster in the first chapter?
It didn't seem to be.
Would have been a nice touch if they did that. I don't know if they did that.
Perhaps.
But so I guess like these people have been going to Cat Planet and becoming cats, and my question became like, okay, well, is the cat race even a race, or is it all the original? And because we see the archaeological remnants of their civilization. The master does his little walk and talk, and he's like, these people created the cats. And you're like, oh, well, they're a created race of cats that they thought they could control, and it's Planet of the Apes, and they've turned on their creators and all that kind of stuff. But then you find out that no, a human will evolve into these creatures. So were they created by this previous race, or are they just people that end up on this planet that evolve into cat people?
My take on it was that the latter, that beings that come there become part of the planet, and in so doing become these cheetah cat things.
Then what is the master talking about?
The master was talking about the Kitlings were the things that the inhabitants trained.
So the inhabitants train Kitlings
Yes.
to do
I
their
think.
bidding,
Yeah.
and then became cats.
Or as they were becoming cats, or after they became cats, or
Doesn't make-
I don't know. He wasn't very clear in his storytelling.
And maybe it's my own problem because I got the Planet of the Apes on the brain, and you're thinking, oh, they started working with cats, and then cats evolved, and then cats became superior, and then the cats took over.
right.
Right? But that's not really
I don't
it.
think that's what happened.
You're evolving into these cats.
Yeah.
But the Kitlings are also cats, because once you see a cat on planet Earth, and then when I think it's with Ace, when Ace first goes, when the Doctor first goes, he's trying to lure the cat, the black cat with the funny teeth, and then when it cuts over and him and Sarge are on the ground, so is a full-grown cat person. It's not a little cat on the ground, it's a full-grown cat person. So, or the Kitlings small cats that are also larger size.
No,
on their
I think
home
that was
planet?
coincidence. I don't think that was supposed to be the same cat.
It must have been because it was on the ground in the same position, and it was like a
maybe.
hard cut from Earth
Yeah, I
where they're
guess so.
both facing each other to Cat Planet where they're both facing each other. Except it's now a full-grown guy, and sometimes the cats can't walk. What was going on?
I don't know.
Why
Yeah,
did they
I
want the
didn't quite
water?
get that.
What was going on with the water? I mean, that's where they're getting the nutrients of the planet that's
Turning
changing
them
you.
cat-like, yeah.
Which
And
is
that and
weird.
Kira was it Kira that went into the water face down and was going to drown herself?
like yes, and then she got saved. That's when Ace comes over and saves her. But
they
then
become best
Ace,
friends.
and then you're like, okay, well they're gonna bond, and then you're gonna see Mercy
Sorta.
as the key. But that doesn't happen either because they
No.
only keep her alive to use her to get to Earth, right? Because that's when the Doctor's acting kind of weird. And he's like, you won't like her. And she's, whatever he's saying, I don't know. And she's like, I guess we won't kill her. Because right?
Yeah.
It's all messed up.
Yeah. Some of it's not clear as we thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of clear. Just sort of like
It's the details.
a little clunky, I guess, maybe. I like cats on horseback. We talked about that. I like stray cats as vultures. And I imagine the writer is probably surrounded by stray cats in his house or his neighborhood or whatever.
And said, hey, I got a story for this.
I like that the master is a cat dude. The kind of dude that would have a bunch of cats in his house. Like when he's just living in that dumb tent. With all these cats around him. And he's just sort of trying to play with them with the ball and whatnot. And you're like, you poor sad man.
And that's just part of the master's mind powers that he's always had. That he's able to control them in that way. Because no one else is able to. So it must be that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the animals,
right.
we talked about the animals being tied to the planet, and when they fight, they trigger the planet's death.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, we talked, yeah.
I mean, because
Let's
it's like
go with it. That's part of the planet. I mean, the planet's alive in a way.
But if the planet is making them more animalistic and cat-like, and their inclination is to fight, then is the planet just a suicidal planet?
Yeah.
Like, is the planet
Yeah,
trying to kill itself?
It's a planet that's depressed.
Depressed planet. Because if it just stopped making people into these animals, they wouldn't be fighting, and the cataclysmic events wouldn't be triggered.
But maybe it also wouldn't be able to survive. So it needs those things, but it needs them to be in balance. I don't know. There's probably a whole backstory. We should go read the novelization. Maybe it makes more sense.
Yeah, I just didn't like Midge. He was a dick.
Yeah.
Yellow Eyes Ace was cool. I Am Your Sister Kara, she was cool. I like the makeup. I thought they did a great job with the whole cat shtick.
Yeah.
Like the cheetah people or whatever they're called. I thought it didn't look cheesy. I mean, there's a lot of it looks like Troll 2 level. Like even you talk about the opening where the guy with the stonewashed jeans and he's washing his car. And then he gets, some of that looked very B-movie horror, like whatever. But I felt like they did a really good job on the actual planet of cats.
I agree.
Except for the small cat. The small cat with the mouth, the teeth and stuff
They're
was
really
very, very corny. And I liked the acting of the crying girl whose cat was mauled by a human. Like, whatever, she's got problems. Like, she is not the same. That girl is not going to be okay for a long time. Yeah.
Well, they also call her Squeak, so she's already doomed.
Yeah,
to
she's
begin
got
with.
some issues. And Midge with those dumb glasses, when he puts his sunglasses on, he's got like the the
Yeah.
80s glasses and his dumb teeth, and then the motorcycle chicken. That's when it gets really weird at the end.
The motorcycle chicken's kind of crazy.
Right? Just sort
Yeah.
of it falls off, it runs off the rails, I feel like, a little bit when we leave Cat Planet.
I'm just not sure. I don't understand why the motorcycles exploded like that, and
Why is that a cat?
why the doctor landed so far away but unharmed, because he happened to land on a sofa. Thank goodness. I don't know. That was just weird.
Oh, yeah. I think,
Some of it doesn't
I
make
don't know,
sense.
did we finish this one? This one
think
felt
not.
like could have been a really good two-parter.
Sure.
I feel like if you just stuck with the Cap, like, I don't think we had to go back to Earth for all of season or episode 3, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, that's where you get the Master stuff, and it's really the Doctor versus the Master, because everything's sort of wrapped up in the first 5 minutes, and even Ace is like, "Well, okay, we're everything's cool," and he's like, "No,
Right.
if we came back, the Master came back, and he's gonna stick around just because he wants to be a jerk about it."
Yeah.
And then they go looking for him. Yeah, so that's
God.
it. I think we covered it, right? I mean, it's the
think we
last
covered it.
appearance of. All right, were you have anything else to add about this story?
No.
Okay.
I got nothing.
we got a couple
I think
of-
we wrung this towel dry.
Yeah, we got a couple things to do. So we should
Do
talk
it.
a little bit about the end of Ace. We're not going to see Ace anymore. The end
No.
of the Doctor. We're not going to see Sylvester McCoy anymore. And the end of
Well,
the Master, because we're not
sort
going to.
of.
Well, this actor, right?
Sort
so
of.
the Master's going to regenerate into Eric Roberts.
Yeah. Well, so
So this
we're
is
gonna
the
see
end.
Sylvester McCoy again for a moment because apparently I haven't seen the movie.
Oh,
but
I haven't.
Apparently,
He's in the movie.
He is there for a moment to do the regeneration.
Oh,
so
that's
we will
cool.
get to
I
see
didn't know that.
McCoy
All right,
regenerate,
well
which is
then,
cool.
Thanks for spoiling that, Dan.
I didn't know that either, but you brought this up.
Okay.
And I think we do see Ainsley, his eyes at least, as the Master takes over someone else's body, and they are apparently cat eyes in the movie.
Oh.
So we'll pay attention for that.
they
but it's supposed to
really
be
tied into this mythos
kind of a subtle
here.
callback to this.
Yeah, because I went into this, so that's interesting, and I guess that's why the movie is still considered canon. I don't know
Right.
anything about the movie other than Eric Roberts is in it. I always
else do we need to
assumed
know, really?
that was an American version of Doctor Who where they changed everything and nothing would tie in with the classic. But
I mean, we will see how much of it ties in or not. We also know that we see the Eighth Doctor again in modern Who, particularly around it is one of the little shorts that happens around the time of the War Doctor, because he makes that choice. So it is all canon, all hangs together. But I'm looking forward to actually being able to see McCoy get to do a regeneration, which is kind of
it's cool. I in general,
But no
though-
more Ace.
Yeah, no more Ace. I really liked Ace. I thought Ace was great.
Probably
One of the
top
best
5
companions, I think.
companions.
Yeah,
no,
I would
definitely
agree.
top 5 companions of the ones that we've seen. We haven't seen all of them, but for me, certainly up there.
Yeah, and speaking of Ace, I never when I knew when she left Earth, I was always thinking she was much younger when she left.
Oh.
I didn't realize she was it was 2 weeks ago. She was only on Ice Planet for a week and a half.
Right.
I always thought she was a little girl or something in her room, and she was 12,
no.
and then she got sent. But no, she when we were seeing her friends, they were literally you've been gone 2 weeks. I was like, oh shoot, I didn't realize how old she actually was.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's. I know you're just kind of joking, but it was. I don't think they say exactly how long it was, but the Doctor does make reference. Ace says, "How long has it been since I've been to Perryville?" And he says,
How
"As
long you
as
feel, or right? Something
Yeah,
like that.
as long as you feel it's been.
They say, I think they do say how long she's been gone, and
Yeah,
it's
maybe they do,
months
but
or
it-
something. Because
yeah, it was not very
They
long
had a
at all.
missing persons thing, and everyone thought she was dead.
But that was all that disappearance with the cat stuff was much more recent than whenever Ace amscrayed out of there.
But now her parents are alive,
Yeah,
right? But she doesn't want to see
she
them.
had no interest in seeing them
She's still mad at them. Why did you ever figure that out?
because they're mean. I don't know. I think because they couldn't deal with the fact that she was so wild and precocious and didn't want to obey the rules. I guess. I don't know.
But I mean,
That's
unless
close
they're
enough.
terrible people, they think she's dead.
Right.
They're
And
still
she
looking
does.
for her if they never found a body. Their whole
She
life
doesn't
is
care.
wrecked, and she does
No.
not care.
Does not care.
She'll go hang out with the cat people. She's like, let's
Yeah.
just go look at other stuff. So that was kind of mean.
Yeah.
Maybe they're
Ace
abusive.
is a
I don't know.
multifaceted, flawed character. It's all right.
Yeah, but she's good. She's good, and I really do like Sylvester McCoy.
Yeah.
Step above Colin Baker. Sorry, Colin Baker. I would give him a
several
step
steps
above Peter Capaldi. Oh, not Peter Capaldi. Who's before Colin Baker? I'm blanking on
Peter
Davison. Peter Davison.
Yeah.
I preferred him more than Peter Davison.
Yeah, for sure. I would actually put him up there as my favorite. Maybe
Really?
behind Tom Baker, but in a lot of cases, just because Tom Baker has so much, there's so much range that it's easy to find parts like, oh yeah, this is actually the best Doctor, in the classic sense. But you could go back and forth on any of these people forever, and I'm not one of those people that needs to rank and list everything, even though I already said that.
Even though you
but
write for
still.
BuzzFeed. Yeah, no, I agree. I think he was
It's just one of the best.
much better than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah,
these stories were much better than I thought they were going to be.
I had very low expectations coming into these last couple of seasons, and I was blown away in relation to where I thought they would be. So, fantastic.
Yeah.
So, next up will be the movie, and we'll put some more information on Twitter to let you know what we're planning to do around that. Also, just so you know, we are recording this in advance because I'm going to be away. It's going to be in your feed in the regular time as you're listening to this. But that means we didn't quite get a chance to get your Twitter feedback because we just decided to do this kind of at the last moment beforehand. So if you want to let us know what you thought about Survival, please let us write to us as you normally would. Send us an email at the old Doctor Who Show at gmail.com or tweet at us, and we'll just read it maybe before we do the movie next time.
Right. Yeah, I put out a tweet. I don't think I got any.
We just did that real quick beforehand. We should have.
Yeah, we don't have anything. I don't think we have any reviews, which is sad.
But we do have 2 pieces of email.
Oh, we do.
Yes,
Oh,
we do.
yeah, we do.
I didn't actually even read them because they were about this story. So I'm reading for the first time.
All
Let's
right, I'm
see
hearing for the first
what
time.
happens. This is from Rob. The title of the email is For the Survival Episode. Don't read until after watching.
Okay.
Spoilers. Very good. So we're doing it. Hey guys, love the podcast. Dan spoke about Ace's queerness in Ghostlight, a subject that is really inferred in this episode, even with the writer Rona Murrow stating in interviews that she wrote Ace as a lesbian for the story, with her really falling in love with Kara. I didn't see that at all.
No. I mean, they sort of quickly bond, and she says, like, I like being here, but there's no... I didn't pick up on much of a connection between the two of them.
Right. I saw Ace's excitement with the planet and the way that it was making her feel. Maybe you can read some indirect queerness into that, but that... If it was there, it was subtle. But that's interesting that happened. A case could be argued that Ace was the first LGBT companion, something I always feel the show should be more commended for, especially in a quote-unquote kids show in the 80s. Interesting. You have in parentheses here, you don't need to read this bit out, but since I'm already reading, I'm going to read it out. Here it comes. There was a documentary during the 50th anniversary called The Culture Show, You and Me and the Doctor, that touched on the politics of the show. They interview an LGBT activist that talked about how Russell T Davies, both his work on Queer as Folk, the UK version was so much better than the US version limited series. It was really, really awesome. Anyway, Queer as Folk, UK gay drama series from the 90s, and his work on Doctor Who and introducing Captain Jack and having him kiss the Doctor really pushed forward the LGBT rights in the UK. It's a fascinating watch. That sounds really cool. And then Rob finishes by saying, keep up the good work, and I hope you add the Web Planet to the list.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, see, we keep getting them all over the place.
Web Planet. Now, I think that's Troughton, right? Patrick Troughton?
I literally have no idea, and I probably won't even know after we watch it. I'll immediately forget it. That is awesome. We have one other email. This is from JG. It says, hey guys, thanks for the, as always, great review of Curse of Fenric. I'm glad to hear your thoughts. I know it's a small point, and maybe this is well known, but the Nazi room that Millington has to help him, quote, think like the enemy is in fact a real thing from World War II, which the British did. They really did think it would help them get inside the psychology of the Nazis, in particular what they would do next. Sure, the even down to the files thing is taking a bit far, but I guess it's stretching the truth for drama, even though it is still based on the truth. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that does not sound odd to me that they would do that. But I think from what I remember what we were talking about, we were
it's-
goofing on the fact that they said that it was like down to the literally
the files inside
were
the
in the
drawer.
right order or whatever.
Yeah.
Correction to the web plan, I just looked it up, is not Troughton. It's William Hartnell. So
Great.
I'll go
Great,
do my
great.
penance.
Fantastic. While you're flogging yourself, I'm going to finish reading.
I was gonna say, like, most of the time when we record this, I'm just self-flogging myself.
Is that not what we're doing?
Shirtless. It's just my back just full of welts, but if you look, it actually spells out the name Old Doctor Who Show. Terrific. All right, sorry.
This is great. Well, let's finish it up here. They go on to say, Survival is my favorite McCoy performance in the role, bar none.
That's interesting.
Survival is your favorite McCoy performance. That's interesting. Okay. It's absolutely note perfect. And it's also a really nice change of pace to see this doctor forced to think on his feet and react to the situation rather than having everything laid out in advance. That's true. I do like that part that he's kind of putting the pieces together. I don't know how he kind of figures out it's the cats. Like, that seemed a little like a stretch, but that's cool. He's the doctor. He can think of anything.
Right.
Going on to say, it shows his cunning and his ability in a pleasingly different way while still really keeping the drama going. Obviously, the motorbike crash is terrible. It is so terrible.
Yeah, it just, and as
just
you
made
pointed
no
out, it
sense.
just feels like, where is
Why?
this coming from? Why is this part
Why?
in the show? And why does
didn't
it
do that.
explode? Yeah. So
Yeah. Lastly, they say, and it's the best Ainsley Master, and it's the best the Ainsley Master ever is. I know you guys have said you're fans of the Ainsley Master, so I'm hoping you love his performance here. Equal parts bestial desperation and Machiavellian scheming. This Master is always at his best when fighting for survival rather than some abstract plan for world domination. And Ainsley is so great at embracing it. I think we agree with that. I know I do. I think
he
this
was
is one of
good
his
in
better
this- in
performances.
this,
He's always great. I like the Ainsley
right.
Master.
I like him as just sort of sad cat guy too. But I want to talk a little bit about the part of this being Sylvester McCoy's best performance. I mentioned him sort of phoning it in too, and I never clarified some of that.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple times where he does like a hat tip or he trips someone, especially during
Right.
that scene where it's just going on forever, where he's yelling stop. Where I don't know, it just, to me, it read like he was bored with the thing.
Yeah, I mean that specific part.
It was
when
like, oh
he's
yeah,
everyone
I guess
stand
my
still.
character does this thing. I don't know. That may be more on me than
It didn't have as much
him.
I have
It
as
just
much
felt
whimsy as it
tired
kind of
and a little. Okay.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's quite possible. And then so that was it from J.G. McQuarrie, who is the co-host of Talking Who to You.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and please
that's the
check
show
out
that
Talking
discusses
Who do you.
Big Finish audio Doctor Who stories. So that's pretty cool. You guys got to check that out. And perhaps when I finally get into listening to some Big Finish stories, I will become a huge fan of yours. So thank you guys very, very much. Again, if you want to get in touch with us, you can send us an email like these fine folks did at theolddoctorwhoshow@gmail.com. You can catch us on Twitter at TODW Show, also on Instagram at the same. And you can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/TODWS.
That's right.
And if you want to send Eric fantastic real life toys and prizes, you can always send that to P.O. Box
2183. Is that right?
Sounds good.
No, P.O. Box. P.O. Box 2131, Red Bank, New Jersey.
2131. Everyone knows this.
07701. P.O. Box 2131.
In Red Bank.
And obviously, if you send us multiple things, I send them to Dan, like the wonderful mugs that we got.
Yeah. We got
Yeah.
drawings and everything. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's all to say. We love you, we miss you, and we'll see you in a few weeks when we do the movie.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll
Bye!
post somewhere where people can join it. Maybe we did the YouTube thing, right? Maybe we'll do the YouTube thing again.
I think we'll probably end up doing it live show, but we'll figure that all out before we talk to you next week.
All right, cool.
We move like caged tigers, oh, we couldn't get closer than this. The way we walk, the way we talk, the way we stalk, the way we and wide and bright. We bite and scratch and scream all night. Let's go and throw all the songs we know into the sea.